Okay, so basically education system and the syllabus is the core issue of Pakistan, because in Pakistan we do have different madrasa type of education systems and syllabuses. Do you intend to change the education system in accordance with Islam?
That's an interesting question. I think let's understand first that Islam is a religion that has advises its followers to seek knowledge and to be literate and use their minds whenever they can, and their intelligence. And it treats intelligence as a gift from God, and something that people are obliged to use. It's an obligation, almost a binding obligation, to use one's intelligence and to develop it. Now, I'm not sure that there is anything such as an Islamic system of education. And if you look at Islamic scholars throughout history, and I've looked at them and I've read some of their works in Arabic, their original works. Now these people were scientists, pure and simple. They were looking at natural phenomena, trying to understand them. To them, this was an Islamic system of education. So, when you say an Islamic system of education, you really just mean an education, as we understand the term today. And that's how Islamic scholars have always understood it, as exploring nature, trying to understand, trying to see what the laws are, the laws of nature are, mathematics, astronomy, you name it. The Muslims were doing it, and they were at the leading edge of it. Islamic education does not mean that you focus little children exclusively on reading the religious texts. Sure, certainly that should be part of it, because they need to know, certainly Muslim children need to know what their religion is and what that part of it is. But if you're educating them, you have an obligation to go much beyond that. That's something basic. It takes place. Religious, let's put it this way, training or learning is something that starts at the home. And families are really the first people, mothers and fathers and parents. They're the ones who have to do that, because it's more than just book learning there. It's a whole system of living and ethics and telling the truth, and all this is part of our religion. The schools, given that this should be happening at home, and parents should be telling their children, I think we should free up the educational system to focus on the other aspect of their schooling, which is the science, the math, the history, whatever constitutes learning. Because all said and done, schools, madrasa, by the way, is just an Arabic word for school. In the Arab world today, ordinary schools are called madrasas. That's it. So this sensitivity to the term madrasa these days, it seems that people have assumed whenever they hear the term it's like a terror factory or something, and it's not. It's just a school, and now that's the way it should be. Now it could be that reality is somewhat different on the ground here, and you do hear news reports where madrasas have been used to push a particular ideology and ignore, for instance, all the other learning that should be taking place. So those sort of things could be happening, and they happen whenever there is absence of leadership in a country, an absence of government. When the government disappears, which is what has happened today, people do what they want. There's no control, there's no one asked to ask you what's going on, there are no systems. So everyone is doing what they want to do. Now, once you have a proper government in place, which is hopefully what we do, then automatically these issues are addressed, because automatically you have a Ministry of Education which is breathing down the necks of all of these schools and ensuring that they are following a government established curriculum, which must include the madrasas. So as far as curricula goes, there should be a uniform curriculum for all children, whether they're in whatever type of school, whether it's a madrasa, whether it's some other Parsi school, or Christian school, or missionary school, whatever it is. The Ministry of Education must have a modern, effective, workable curriculum that produces children able to think able to read and write, able to express themselves, able to judge right from wrong. These are the citizens we need. And as far as their religious training goes, sure, the schools where there are Muslim children, they should be taught a religious subject. For sure, it should be part of the curriculum. If they're Christian children, they should be taught their own scriptures. And if they are Hindu children, there should be no objection to anyone having them learn what they want. They should be options. So that's our view of education. It's really a matter of opening minds, of really following a broad-minded academic curriculum and teaching children to think for themselves, to really become responsible citizens. And that's it. That's it. Just prepare them for the next stage of life, which is either they go on to university or to technical school or to a profession or whatever. The job of education is, at least up to secondary education, it finishes there. After that, then you get into higher education, and then we have a different set of policies that kick in.
So you have like an extended education policy. In the past, the governments have always allocated about 60% of the annual budget to defense, and education has been the least of their concerns or priorities. How are you going to change that? Do you still think that pumping that much money into defense is more important than pumping that money into education?
No, it certainly isn't, and anyone who thinks that is sadly mistaken. The history. This is a historical situation. So these things, the way it stands today, is sad. It shouldn't be this way. Of course, there can be no two opinions about it. It cannot be that defense receives such a lot of money and education doesn't. But having said that, you cannot set aside, you cannot suspend reality in dealing with these issues. And the reality is that defense is important as well. If you have, we have a very, very detailed defense policy also. And it should be possible, and our manifesto talks about this. Our objective in defense is to cut back expenses to, let's put it this way. We want to, I think a lot, if you talk in terms of the way the military and of the way technology has changed warfare and defensive, and the way defense forces are structured and organized, a lot has changed in the last few years, and especially missile technology, the power of the Air Force to influence the outcome of military conflicts has become very substantial. So there should be, even our military people should be asking this question. Does it make sense now anymore, especially if you don't have any offensive aspirations? Does it make sense to have a very, very large standing army anymore, well beyond what your legitimate defensive needs are? So that question, has to be reviewed intelligently with the defense establishment to see where you can make those cuts without compromising security, where you can perhaps channel funds that are now being used to support elements of the defense establishment that are now perhaps obsolete or have very limited value for in terms of defensive requirements, legitimate defensive requirements.